Hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast, where we will reassure you that football is fixable. Alright, chaps, I'm with Sess and Dan. Hi, guys.
Alright.
Any more of that weird kind of loose logic you've got there, Sess, that you always seem to start episodes with these days?
Absolutely, loads of them. The etiquette. I think we'll start off by looking at the English etiquette, don't we? That was very successful the last couple of weeks. So let's
just
maintain
it's
that.
nothing to do with football, but you seem to have. You've always done this. You always just bring up weird logic that. Kind of, it does make. To be fair, it does make you question why isn't that the case?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I remember years ago when I was in Australia, I was talking to this police officer. I had to give my email address to them for some reason. Maybe I was doing a bad thing. Anyway, so my email address at the time was why do planes have headlights?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
At hotmail.com or something like that. And I remember the police officer write it down going, why do planes have headlights? I was like, I know.
Seriously? Have you found the answer to that yet, by the way? That was like 20 years ago.
No, people keep saying, yeah, but they need to see where they're going. What, at 500 miles an hour?
See which clouds they're driving through.
Yeah, swerve past those seagulls. No. So my etiquette then, that I'm bringing up today, I reckon the British hold the world record for the length of time you hold a door open for a stranger to walk past.
Right.
You know that moment, you go into a shopping centre, for example, you go through the door, you see someone 5-10 metres behind you and you think, I better hold the door open. Yeah? You're the nice person. Yeah. However, what if they were 30 metres away? Then you do that thing where you step in and then you go, I better hold on to the door. You go back, you hold the door, and you're there for about 10-15 seconds. Make the other person awkward. You know, they think
they have to speed up.
Yeah. And it just becomes a very awkward situation for something that actually doesn't matter. It's not as though they'll get to the door and go, there's no way I can get through without someone opening it.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the reaction you're looking for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The most awkward part of the interaction is you have to maintain eye contact with them so they are aware that you are holding the door open for them.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't do that.
A little smile. I found certain places in Europe, I would hold the door open for them, give a little smile, to show I'm friendly, walk past me. And they would look at me as though I was trying to steal their wallet or something. Is it just a British thing then?
I think it is. Once I was in... Oh, go on, Dan.
Have you ever done it, right? And they're taking their time walking towards you, so you think, well, I don't want to rush them, so I'll let the door go. And then you see as you let the door go, they actually are walking a little bit quicker, as if to say, and then
that's horrible.
It's
in
like
awkward.
That motion. It literally happens in slow motion. You're just looking at them like, oh god, but it's too late now.
Almost sinister. You just
and then you have to slowly shut. You have to basically run off in the hope that you don't bump into them.
Exactly. Yeah. You've already let the door go now. That's it. There's no going back from it. You can't change your mind and reopen it and hold it for them. You've committed to not holding that door, and you've just got to leave it and go.
Yeah. I don't know, sometimes when you walk in the door, and you sort of, for me, I'm brilliant with this, right? I've got it down. Mm-hmm. So as you approach the door, before you go through it, I'm gauging. How far, are there anyone around me where I'm going to have to hold this open? So I'm subconsciously it might be because I'm like a striker in football, you just know where the goal is. You kind of,
right.
I just know where people are.
Does that mean so that you want to be there so you don't have to open the door for others? So you're being selfish like a striker as well?
Maybe. Or as I go through the door, it's like, I need to hold the door because I've already clocked that there's somebody within the certain perimeter.
Yeah, but what is that radius though? I don't know if it goes to 50 meters.
I've never measured it, but I know what it is.
If you see someone in the horizon, do you think?
And also sometimes you might go, they're too far away, and you let the door go, and the door starts closing. But then actually, as it starts closing, they're much closer. So, but then what happens there is brilliant, right? Because then you reach out. So sometimes I'll reach out and save the door, and I go, thank you. So and then you're a hero.
Yeah, it makes you feel good to be polite. Yeah,
so I just made their day. Right, football podcast, chaps. Shall we get into the football? We are looking at conspiracies today.
Yes,
and you know what? I've got a conspiracy. You can decide whether this is a conspiracy or not, right? So have you ever heard of the TV show known as Severance?
Yes, love it. Apple TV.
Yeah. See, I've never seen it, but this come to my attention this week on one of the socials, right? Where there was an Arsenal fan talking about this. So,
forget it then.
All right.
Oh, it's going to be a pointless as soon as an Arsenal fan talks about it, it becomes relevant. Is that how you pick all of your TV shows?
Yeah.
Let me put this across to you and see what you think. So I thought it was a bit strange, and you can decide if it's a conspiracy. So there's a couple of seasons, right? Apparently,
yeah, two seasons. Yeah,
2 seasons. In the second season, there's somebody called Mr. Saliba.
Mr. Saliba. Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a Mr. Saliba, right? Mm-hmm. It's a name. I'd never heard of Saliba before, but it's a name. I'm sure there are other people named it. Okay, fine. It's just coincidence.
Yeah.
In season 1, you get to see someone called Mr. Arteta.
Was there an Arteta?
So apparently it's Angelo Arteta. Apparently, I've got written down here. So there's an Angelo Arteta. Again, it's a name.
Yeah.
Coincidence? Okay. Angelo Arteta's wife is called Gabby. Arsenal have 3 Gabbies. So it's Gabby Arteta. You think, well, Gabby's a common name, for a woman or whatever. That's fine. Still a coincidence, whatever. In one episode, Mr. Arteta, calls out for his sons. Now, his 2 sons are called Declan.
Can we guess the other one?
And
Havertz?
Close, Kai. Yeah.
Ah.
So it's Declan and Kai.
Okay.
Still a coincidence? So maybe the writer's an Arsenal fan or whatever, who knows.
Yeah,
but then you go and look this stuff up, and season 1 was filmed in January 2021, which was 2 years before Declan Rice and Kai Havertz joined Arsenal. And the actual TV show, apparently, you'll know this, it's a sort of split reality kind of theme to the show or something or other. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. So basically these the main characters, the 4 main characters, they get given a chip that when they enter a building makes them forget reality in a sense. So you can be 2 different people, an innie and an outie.
Like a belly button.
You go to work and then you forget everything and your innie works, and then when your innie leaves you become the outie. So as an outie you just walk into the office and then you walk out again at 5 o'clock and you haven't worked.
It's just like different personalities.
Yeah.
Well, I think you two just ignored my belly button joke.
Oh, did you say a belly button joke?
I did say belly button joke. It's okay. Innie, outie, belly button. I thought it was quite funny. Just laughing to myself.
I didn't hear. Did you hear?
I didn't hear it, but Sess was talking very loudly, so I don't, He was telling about the innie and outie. I didn't say anything.
I apologise for interrupting.
No, but I'm sure it was. Now that you've said it, it's very funny. Yeah.
Thanks. Cheers. Appreciate that.
So, I don't know, but this all sounds a bit like there's some sort of twisted reality going on here where and also time travel potentially, because I say the first season 1 was filmed before.
Is that your suggestion? Time travel?
I don't know. Is it a conspiracy? Is it a coincidence? Are the writers Arsenal fans that can predict the future?
Finished? Is the series totally finished?
I don't know. We're watching it live, like not live, but it's coming out
as it's coming out. Sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't watched the last week, so I don't know when the last episode is, but.
Will Mr. Arteta win like a trophy of any kind at the end of it? Is there like a... Can you let me know?
I can't think of any link.
I was going to say, is everyone waiting for the next season? Like certain...
I mean, there's a lot of bottles in the in the series.
Right, we can move on now. So we're getting into the topic today of conspiracies. So firstly, chaps, you must know, so there are loads of conspiracies in football, right? You still hear about them to this day, where the referees, they favour certain teams and that kind of thing. So we want to look into some of the biggest football conspiracies that have happened, but also are apparently still happening. Certain conspiracies, newer ones. So
a lot of them this season from Arsenal fans, really, aren't there?
Don't know what you're talking about. No, nothing to see there.
Yeah. Obviously, the biggest conspiracy is the ball.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, you two at it again. Wow. I think I preferred last week's episode when Dan wasn't here, to be honest. First of all, actually, as you're talking about Arsenal, have you heard about the Aaron Ramsey curse?
I have not.
The Aaron Ramsey curse.
I would like to hear about it. Please
would you like to hear about it, Dan? The Aaron Ramsey curse, right? So I first became aware of this when he was still playing for Arsenal, okay? So apparently, whenever he scores a goal, some famous person dies. And it became quite a big... There was a social media like page created for all of this, or whatever it is, where people tracked all these different people. I want to look it up, Sess, all the different people that had done it. But so on days that Aaron Ramsey scored, 21 famous people died.
As in, he scored on the 21 goals in different days, and 21 celebrities have
on
died.
those days that he scored those goals. Yeah,
Wow. How many goals has he scored overall?
Yeah.
I think it was about 80 for Arsenal. It was 80 something.
Oh,
Right. So
Yeah.
1 in 4.
So 1 in 4, yeah. So maybe that was the conspiracy was there. Whenever he scored a goal, somebody famous dies. But actually, if he scored 80, then
Yeah, 3/4 of his goals had no links with celebrity death.
I didn't say it was a good conspiracy, but it is a conspiracy. The legends like Robin Williams. I was going to say legends such as Robin Williams and Bin Laden. Let me just change that. So Robin Williams, Steve Jobs. Bin Laden as well, and other very famous people. I don't know if it's Tina Turner or something. Is Tina Turner still alive?
No, Tina Turner
are we
died,
talking about
2023.
like on the same day, or literally like the moment the ball goes in the back of the net, they die?
Oh, that would be weird.
That would be weird. You know what?
Were they standing behind the goal?
We're here.
Makes sense why there's people that believe in things like flat Earth and
Yeah, it's
the fact
they're quite
that they
easily
can believe
debunked,
that
really, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely insane. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other people that scored goals on those weekends. And also, we had a couple of. Remember, we had a few years where like nearly every celebrity on the planet, I feel like, died. And I suppose if you're
it was
scoring
2016. It was 69-year-old celebrities died in 2016.
There you go. So if you're scoring goals in 2016, the odds are celebrities dying after you've scored. I have a conspiracy I've just invented. Arteta's hair is made of Lego.
Oh, it absolutely is.
I don't think you invented that. I think that's actually a thing that people do say.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's an official website for Arteta's hair made of Lego, though. So it's probably less
Let me have a
official
look.
than your Ramsey one.
Well, other conspiracies which turned out to be true as well. So we've got the Juventus match fixing corruption scandal that saw that Juventus, when they were found guilty eventually, were relegated down to the bottom of the tier below or whatever it was. And
it took them like 4 years or something to get back up, didn't
get promoted back up. Yep. So, and they won several titles. I think it was like they won 4 out of 5 titles and all that kind of stuff before they got relegated. And, and it turned out that it was because of match fixing and choosing the refs. I think the owner of Juventus had a lot of influence, didn't he, over like Italian football or something, and he was choosing the refs he wanted to referee certain matches or something like that.
It seemed very obvious.
It's just, and you think, and that was not just in Serie A, that was across European competitions as well. So in the Champions League, you're playing against Juventus, and that could be any other team across other leagues. So it wasn't just in Italy.
Yeah,
I think people are in football doing this stuff. Football's not beyond corruption, is it? Basically,
no. I don't think any sports are, really.
Conspiracy if it's true.
Well, that is a good question, because usually I would say anything that has the word conspiracy in it is just automatically probably a lie. Someone just came up with it. But certain occasions, I suppose, with this Juventus thing, someone might have come up with a certain conspiracy about it, and then they looked deeper in and found it to be true.
I suppose the outstanding conspiracy there is, if it happened in Italy, surely it's happening everywhere else, and we just don't know about it.
Could well be.
Okay, good thinking. So everyone who was wondering then, so we're going to be looking at some notable topical sort of conspiracy theories that exist in football right now. And what do we mean by that? So just to clarify, Cambridge Dictionary. A conspiracy is the activity of secretly planning with other people to do something bad or illegal, apparently. That's actually what a conspiracy is.
Oh, interesting.
So that would be, for example, there are conspiracies right now about referees. Particularly there was one directed towards Michael Oliver. In pre-season, he went over to the Middle East somewhere to referee a game.
Yeah. It was one single game, wasn't it?
It was one single game, and he was paid over twice as much what he gets in an average Premier League game. He was given first-class flights over there to do it, treated really nicely and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
And he was paid £3,000 to referee a game. And the conspirators...
Conspirators?
Conspirators.
Yeah.
Conspirators.
Conspirers?
Conspirers.
I like it. That's what. See, there is a reason why you're here.
That's my input for today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. The conspirators were saying that he is then influenced by Saudi, and he's then going to make certain refereeing decisions in the Premier League. And some of his performances where mistakes were allegedly made were based on that influence, apparently. So, a few episodes back, we talked about how many red cards he's given out to, say, Arsenal players, for example. I think it's 8 red cards he's handed to Arsenal.
Rightly so.
In 50-something matches. Mm-hmm. In a similar number of games, it was 50-something matches for Liverpool, until recently, actually, when Liverpool played Everton, where he did actually send off a couple of players for second yellows and things, didn't he?
Yeah.
At the end of the game. But it must be because he knew that everyone was onto him.
But quick, I need to buck the trend.
Yeah, exactly. Give a few extra double yellows and things. But he also, as far as I saw on that graphic, he's never given a red card to a Man City player in those 57 games or whatever it is that he's refereed them. So people sort of put these conspiracies together. That, no, it's because he gets treated really well. He's paid and he's influenced by the Middle Eastern, oil giants, that kind of thing. So it just seems like in football there are all these conspiracies flying around. Someone at work who's a Liverpool fan says, well, at City they always get what they need when they need a penalty, or the referee decision always seems to favour them and that kind of stuff. You hear Arsenal and Liverpool fans saying, I'm going to have to be honest, you hear them say, oh no, we've got that ref this weekend, so we're not winning that one. It's just like all these conspiracies around football these days, which I like to always think that corruption's not, especially in the English game, we don't have corruption. But then you see the notable examples like with Juventus in Serie A. And
if you can infiltrate FIFA, not us, by the way.
Who are FIFA?
Not this FIFA, but FIFA as in the... I don't even know what FIFA stands for, actually.
Football is fixable, all right, I think.
That's the one. But yeah, the International Footballing Association, even they got infiltrated with corruption right from the top, even though apparently Sepp Blatter was, kind of innocent, even though all 20 people below him...
Didn't he get banned for like 90 days or something?
90 days, yeah. They said, you were found for corruption, so that's it. For 3 months, you're not allowed to do that job again.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
let that be a lesson to you.
Yeah, you'll learn from that. So that's the thing. So it dates back to FIFA back in 2010 allocated World Cups, because they allocate the World Cups to different nations. They gave it to surprising countries that were applying for it, Russia and Qatar. And in both those countries there were political tensions with the rest of the world. There were suggestions of bribery and things like that from Russia.
Yeah, not only that, but it was so clearly obvious prior to anything about the political state or anything. All you had to look at was, I can't remember if it was the 2018 or 22 World Cup. England were one of the ones that were bidding for it. They already had all the stadiums, and they had Beckham and Prince William and stuff showed these are the places we're going to have the games.
We've got the infrastructure.
Yeah, Qatar didn't have a single stadium. They said, we're going to have to build all these. Here are the plans. Here are the blueprints. Here are photo, images. And that was it.
And there's a few other issues with it as well. Building those stadiums, and this became a reported issue as they were being built, that they were getting people under terrible conditions, many whom actually died. And that's proven. That's not a conspiracy. Died building these. Were they immigrants, I think it was, into Qatar or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And they were building the stadiums, and because of the poor conditions and long hours and everything like that, some people actually lost their lives building those stadiums. And as well as that, it was a World Cup in the peak summer, and that was that caused uproar as well, wasn't it? Because it was a really in the off season of the Western football leagues, anyway. And to go over there in the summer with those temperatures, you'd have to have air conditioning units and all this kind of stuff. It just didn't seem viable.
Had to move it into the winter. It would have disrupted all of the leagues in Europe at the very least. Yeah, it was.
So it all sounded a bit kind of suspicious and everything, but then it was proven under investigation. So there were counts of bribery, and evidence was proven of accepting bribes. 14 FIFA officials were arrested, and like we said, Sepp Blatter ended up sort of standing down. So it kind of tarnished its reputation. So this stuff does happen, even in the game we love.
In sumo was quite a big thing. The Japanese mafia kind of got involved with sumo. And so there was big corruption, and it almost ruined the sport. And they kind of had to rebuild trust from the bottom up. So yeah, it can happen in other sports as well. There was quite a famous one in cricket. South Africa about 20 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was. Even the South African captain, Hansie Cronje, he was paid a lot of money to basically throw the game. The problem was South Africa was such a good team that he and one or two others were paid, and they got out really easily, but they won the game anyway because their team was so good. So it didn't even work, and they got caught and banned and stuff, and their careers were ruined.
I think conspiracies can sometimes get in the way of dealing with an actual problem, so they can be a distraction from making things any better. Like in terms of the Michael Oliver conspiracy, right? If you talk about Michael Oliver as a conspiracy, and the reason his refereeing is poor is because he was paid to do that match over in wherever it was, and it's all to do with City, then you overlook the real problem, which is with the refereeing in this country. So that's one point I would like to make on the conspiracy thing. I would like I think it's really... I think it's obviously with these other things, with FIFA, with the match fixing in Italy, these are things that actually happen. So obviously it's something we need to be wary of and learn from, and be aware that it could repeat itself elsewhere, because if it happens in Italy, it could happen anywhere. But we also can't let these conspiracies distract us from really focusing on what the actual problems are.
Yeah, and we mentioned that last week about refereeing standards, really. A lot of people blame the referee standards going down because of VAR and stuff, but we were trying to say basically that standards were going down before VAR anyway, and it's a bit of a cop-out, really, to try and blame VAR on it.
True.
Which is why we needed VAR in the first place, really, because the standards were going down.
That's true.
That's the argument,
The standards came down first, and then VAR had to intervene. It's not like VAR caused the standards to drop.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen on, again, obviously being an Arsenal fan, you go online and I get all various things kind of through my cookies or whatever it's called. When you go online, you got your algorithm of things get sent to you because of things you like or associate with.
Right.
Not cookies I know you love cookies.
Reading a penguin. Right.
No. But so I get loads of Arsenal fan channels that I have to keep. It's frustrating to see. It gives Arsenal fans a bad name, because I'm looking at some of the stuff that all fans come out with, but when I see the Arsenal ones doing, it's like, oh, don't lower to that level as well. And you see them saying the Premier League is corrupt, and I've heard Liverpool fans saying it's corrupt, and I've heard Liverpool fans don't. They boo when the Premier League anthem comes on at the start of every game. They hate the Premier League. They think the Premier League's out to get them, kind of thing. There is a big kind of motion around notion. Motion.
Yeah.
There is a big motion around all that side of things. With Arsenal, they sort of feel that the Premier League wants certain teams to win. We want to put fixtures at certain times and make it Hollywood. I mean, this came out at the start of the season of the 24-25 season. It was in the Sun, so it must be true. Footy fans are convinced that the Premier League is rigged after the release of the fixtures for 24-25 seasons. All 20 teams learn their fates. Fans are convinced the season is rigged after Liverpool were handed an opening weekend clash with newly promoted Ipswich Town. Apparently that's rigged, because a couple of seasons ago, for example, when Brentford got promoted, Arsenal were given the opening under the lights Friday night, or whatever it was, opening game. You've got the buzz because this newly promoted side and all of that adds a bit of tension, that kind of thing. So fans tend to feel when they're given maybe a card that they don't like, they're dealt a card basically.
Yeah.
Why are we playing at that time? The Liverpool fans, another one with Liverpool, is their midday kickoffs. It is a fact that they've had more midday kickoffs than any other side.
Yeah.
It's really getting under the skin of Jurgen Klopp when he was manager there.
One of the main reasons for that is because they stay in competitions for longer. They're the ones that have to have their fixtures changed a lot compared to anyone else. You tend to not see, I don't know, the Everton, for example, our schedules tend not to get changed because we get knocked out of cups quite quickly, and we're just happily going along. But that's the thing. It's all of these teams that you've mentioned so far, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, they're teams that are fighting at the top. They're the big teams. And so it's the same as the whole too many games things. It's because those teams are the ones that stay in the cups longer. They're fighting for titles and stuff. And there's these fine margins that whenever it doesn't go someone's way, they just think, oh, well, it's because of conspiracy. We would have done it otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, conspiracy is definitely the result of bias, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I think
you start with an idea, and then you try and find things to justify your idea.
It's selective of your evidence, isn't it, to try and prove it?
Yeah.
That's that you could go on YouTube or any of the socials and put Premier League is rigged or corrupt and that kind of stuff. I literally just typed one up there. Arsenal got robbed versus Bournemouth. The Premier League is rigged, and that's the title of an episode, right? On YouTube. My reaction to all the games of match day 8 is the Premier League, including Bournemouth 2-0. Spurs beat West Ham 4-1 and all that kind of stuff, and it's proof that it's proof apparently that the Premier League's rigged. Okay. And this stuff's out there, and I'm just fed up with hearing it, guys. So that's why this topic I think is really important, because there's so many people out there that seem to believe this stuff.
Yeah,
do you know what? Do you know what else is really interesting though? Like how conspiracy really thrives in social media. So you mentioned about YouTube. Like,
yeah, that's true, actually.
Like, I know you were saying earlier on about flat earthers. I remember seeing like TikTok videos about, like, I think there was a TikTok video once went around about a pilot that was like saying how, you know, it was on a TikTok video. It's like, yeah, the Earth's definitely flat, and he's a pilot, so he should know because he flies a plane and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was even fake as well. That was an actor who they do, like, I don't know, it's like sketches or something. But people jump on it, don't they?
People jump on it. People believe stuff that comes out of social media like it's absolute gospel, and it's insane. But like it literally just spreads all of this, like it spreads all of this kind of idea of conspiracy and things, like you were saying, James, about this, the Premier League's rigged. But the only thing that the reason, it's literally just, all social media is like someone's opinion that they can share. So we can all say crazy things in the heat of the moment, like, this is all nonsense, or this is all this, or this is because of this, or this is because he's on the payroll, or whatever. And of course we're going to say that in the heat of the moment when we're supporting our team. It's an
emotional reaction, isn't it? Yeah.
It is emotional reaction, but what happens with social media is that emotional reaction becomes a focal point for loads of people to follow. So an emotional reaction, all of a sudden, instead of just being an emotional reaction at the time of an incident, it becomes like a real thing, and almost like it's become another form of like media and sort of news outlet, hasn't it? Social media. So
yeah, it's something that it's a way for anyone to have a voice, isn't it? Which is, it's great.
Exactly.
It's very democratic. However, it does also mean that it gives a voice to the people that really shouldn't have a voice.
A voice that shouldn't really be promoted anyway. It attracts attention.
Because the reality is, like for example, particularly in football, when you're watching a game, many fans will have the same emotional reaction at the same time, right? So although it's an emotional reaction and it's not a real thing, it's emotional, everyone will have a similar emotional reaction at the same time. So as soon as someone shares that, and it's then like sort of qualified by a load of other people that have the same feeling at the same time, it becomes almost like a fact. But the reality is,
it adds weight to it, doesn't it? Almost.
Yeah. In reality, it's just an emotional reaction that's just shared by like hundreds of thousands of people.
But it's very situational.
Yeah.
You know, if so, Arsenal, when we're winning games, we're singing songs in the crowd about
all of
Arteta.
a sudden there's no conspiracies.
It's all in terms of there's no conspiracies when we're winning, and Arteta, there's songs about how we've got Super Mick Arteta and all that kind of stuff. Now we've lost a few. We've lost because of our various injuries and different things like that. We've been able to we've lost games and drawn games and that kind of stuff recently.
All of a sudden, it's the ball.
All of a sudden, you might say it's the ball. But now there's the big movement again. Arteta out, you know.
Sorry, can I just bring into this bit? There was a comment that Seth made earlier on in the group chat that I'm very sorry, James, to bring this up, but I just thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah, so obviously Arsenal were kind of bottling it a little bit again, and we mentioned about how
is that true?
How
can we cut down out now?
How Arsenal are potentially the new Spurs, and the hashtag RC comment was probably one of my favourites I've ever heard.
So instead of Spursy,
hashtag RC.
It works, doesn't it? RC.
It does work. It does work very well. I just thought
being a bit Spursy, and whatever.
By the way, if we on TalkSport or like social media in general, hashtag RC starts becoming a big thing, that is genuine proof then that things get stolen from our
so
podcast.
true. Yeah. Hashtag RC.
Yeah.
Great.
I know, like, it's hard to remember times from before social media, but I wonder if there was that many conspiracy theories before social media.
They probably were. They just maybe more underground, more localized, maybe not so. They don't spread like wildfire like they do these days, I suppose. But so I think that's what we're saying, isn't it? So come on, people. We're fixing that straight away. Our emotional reactions. Let's not let our imaginations get the better of us. Yeah. All right. So should we go on to the fixes then?
That's it. We all know that conspiracies, like we were saying, most of the time it's just silly, it's reactionary, it's only from the viewpoint of someone who thinks they're a victim.
Yeah.
So I think the way we fix the conspiracies is we go all out. We make the conspiracies better, more believable. I think we need to to expand on it. Because otherwise, then it, with the whole Arteta must be the ball thing, it was silly because it's just isolated to he's trying to say that Arsenal was the victim, even though there were two teams playing.
With
we
the
need
same
to make
ball.
it, we need to make it bigger. We need to start saying about how the ball boys kept on changing the balls or something. When Arsenal were taking a throw in.
Yeah, they swapped them over every time we got possession.
Yeah.
We had the bad ball, and Newcastle had the good ball.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily advocating for everyone to stop believing in conspiracies. I think we make them better and bigger. That's what I'm saying.
Add more substance to them.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
So what you're saying is the problem is the conspiracies are not big enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
wicked.
They're too small so that they're silly conspiracies.
Yeah, they're not imaginative enough.
Yeah.
Nice. We could call them the footballist fixable all right conspiracies, or in short, all right conspiracies.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you would like your conspiracies fixed, although conspiracies fixed, is that a double negative?
Good point.
I suppose really if you want your conspiracies validated.
Yeah, validated.
Yeah, that's true.
So when it comes to the fixes, I know you're sort of saying we can validate them. My side of things, I'm thinking that it's more that we have to, the way we back them up or find them in the first place. We've said that a lot of these are emotionally created, so that's not a great basis to make a decision on straight away. If you're highly emotional, you're angry, frustrated, and it's a reactive thing like Dan talked about.
Yeah.
That's not really the basis for creating a believable theory, if you want to call it a theory rather than a conspiracy. Because the idea, like we said, conspiracy is something which is actually where you're planning something illegal. So we shouldn't really call it. So actually, my first fix is that we need to change the name from conspiracy.
So you would change it from conspiracy to what? Corruption? But then corruption is still an illegal.
Yeah, I would say theory more broadly, maybe. So call
that's
it
understandable.
theory.
But the thing is, people come up with a theory first. I mean, in science, that's what they do a lot. They come up with a theory and then they try to find evidence to back it. However,
hypothesis.
And a hypothesis. However, what they tend to do is they look at all the evidence. So they don't just go, well, this justified it, so there's no need to carry on looking.
Yeah,
they
selective,
will actually,
isn't it?
Exactly. They would look at all the evidence and go, well, this proves it, but then all the rest doesn't. So it's disproved.
One thing I would say, right? I do feel like football is very much like an escape for a lot of people. So is it that bad that we're relatively irrational when it comes to football? Are conspiracies that bad?
I think it's something that's very unique, I would say, about football.
Ooh,
yeah.
I think I probably mentioned it before about the uniqueness of football fans in general, because they go a lot further in terms of an emotional range than other sports. I don't like this whole thing. I remember John mentioned it ages ago.
Unique.
Well, John mentioned it a while ago where he said that football fans are the most passionate. I don't believe that at all. Have you seen some of the like rugby fans and Formula One fans and stuff? They will spend more money. They will react more. They go crazy.
There's an arrogance within the football fan because football is such a widely followed thing, and because it has the biggest following, literally just the pure volume of people that follow football, I think there's an assumption that it then conjures the most emotion, but it doesn't. It just conjures like the highest volume because it has the biggest following. It doesn't necessarily mean that those people are the most emotional.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that, it's definitely got the most volume. However, I think it's also to do with the fact that football, I've mentioned before, has allowed violence, pretty much.
Part of the culture of football, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Right from the beginning, it was based around violence, effectively. It's allowed violence towards the referees, towards each other, and it encouraged, really, the fans to be just as violent, where other sports haven't. They haven't tolerated it since probably it's their inception. And so the culture is very different in that case. So I would say it's less to do with passionate. It's more to do with the fact that they're all passionate, but football has violence on top of that.
There's less restraint, isn't there? There's more expression, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that there's more emotion or more, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it's just that they're kind of like, they're not contained as much. They're a bit more kind of like extreme in how they present it.
Exactly.
Possibly, that kind of thing. So I think this is what we're saying then, isn't it? I think firstly, if you hear what is deemed a conspiracy, firstly, it shouldn't be called a conspiracy because that's illegal. Okay?
It's a theory.
It's more of a theory. So it's a football theory is what we're talking about in particular.
Yeah.
But then we're talking about testing it. Look at the evidence. Don't look for the tiny bits of evidence. So I know you might say, some of the evidence might be covered up or whatever it is. But investigate. And this is where if there was something significant. So when, for example, Man City. So you've got a bit of background on this, haven't you, Seth? So was it Der Spiegel? Was it
Der Spiegel? Yeah.
So a German sports magazine or something?
They specialise in investigative journalism.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
and they're the ones who leaked the Man City, was it to do with the sponsorship payments and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, it all sparked from there, really. So they were the ones that did the digging. And then from their article, BBC, all of the major news outlets kind of like stole from them. They probably feel similar to us.
But I think they hacked, didn't they? I remember reading something that they actually hacked into it to get this evidence of emails from Man City and that kind of stuff. And Man City's part of their defence was that it was obtained illegally. You shouldn't have seen our illegal documents. What? So it's like you've committed murder, but I found out about that by spying on you and watching you.
Well, that's not allowed.
That's not allowed. No. That doesn't count then.
That's definitely the bigger crime. Yeah, 100%.
It just seems like, obviously, at the moment, City were waiting on the outcome of it, but if it wasn't for them finding the apparent evidence that they did, then the Premier League, UEFA, wouldn't have then conducted necessarily as thorough investigations as they did.
Yeah.
And we're now obviously waiting on quite a lengthy trial. It's gone on for, it was years, actually. It's been over a year, isn't it, since the first announcement come out about the charges.
Yeah, there would have been,
Well, it just remains for me to say, thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week, and it's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.